Okay, I'm back for part 4 of my Bafang install. This video, I'm going to just do the SKS fender install. Took me a while to decide on what fenders I needed. I read some of the reviews. I went with the velo 65 Mountain because obviously I got a hybrid bike with some pretty wide tires. I got some Land Cruiser tires on there. They're the Schwabes, but kind of researched it. Some people said that they'd bought certain Vallejo model fenders but didn't fit their bike, and I think a lot of them just didn't do enough research on getting the right fender for their bike. Seen some people wanting the Vallejo 65s for the 29ers that said they could fit it, but Vallejo actually makes the 65 specific model for the 29-inch bikes, and it's actually a better deal because they come with the fender stays, which I had to purchase separately from my fenders, which if I had a 29-inch bike it would have cost me less to get the 29-inch Vallejo fenders anyway, which would have been nice. But so we'll start out with, last was that I had to drill a hole in my frame to be able to mount the rear fender properly. I got that done. I have everything set out here that I'm going to need. Got my fenders. There's these little brackets right here that is what slides onto here and holds your fender stays. These gives you a little bit of adjustability and you know how far your fender's in and out. I sat there and figured out that the shorter one I needed for my front fender and the longer one I needed for the back. On these little screws right here and nuts you have to put in, I found that it's easier. You want to get that little screw in there, or the nut I should say. There's two ways you can go about it. Easiest way is I took the nut, screwed it on the screw some, and then just tapped it in there with a hammer, which helped out big time. I laid out some other stuff I'm going to need here. These are the bolts I'm going to need to put my fender back on because, or not my fender, but my rack, because these screws will go through the rear fender stay plus my rack stay. These are all the miscellaneous bolts they send to be able to mount the fender with. These two bolts I needed to get separate to be able to mount the front on my forks, since I have suspension forks and not a rigid. I'm going to put these little spacers on to help out a little bit. I was kind of looking at these. There's a certain way you got to do these. This side right here, I don't know if you can see it very well or not, but it has like a little shoulder and then the gnarled ridges. That needs to go in towards the inside of this. That way it will match, because that's how this is gnarled up too. Like I said, I had to find my own bolts, so got longer ones. I went with some ones, found some nuts that actually are locking nuts, that way it'll stay in place where I need it to be. This thing is for the bottom half of this. This just goes around and then you kind of secure it with this right here around there to hold it in place. So I guess what we'll start with, on my rear rack, I had that piece that was right here that for some reason they put on there to be able to put a reflector on there, and I ended up cutting that off. You can see I cut it off. I ain't worried too much about it being painted or anything like that, because this is aluminum anyway, so it should be fine. So we'll start first with doing the front fender. I kind of already pre-fit some of the stuff, so what I'm going to do is slide the fender through here, just let it set and rest for a minute, and I'm going to grab me, not the longest bolt, but one that's long enough that can go through there to my fork bridge and back to here. And that way, once I get that all set up, I'll just raise that up and tighten that up some more. Next thing, I didn't show this to you, but on the underside of these, there's a little thing right here to be able to clip your fender stay into. I'm going to clip that on now. And that's right here. There. In place. Now. What I'll do is start putting my pieces. I'm going to want on here. This came with these little star locking washers. I'm going to put on the outside just to help hold this in place. Then I'll put a spacer. On these, the instructions say that this needs to be on the downside. I think this is like a breakaway thing. That way if you hit something, it'll break loose instead of just breaking the whole thing off. Okay, now. Stick this through right there. Just let that sit for a minute like that. And that'll just slide in there. Like that. And that'll give me a pretty good clearance front and back on my tire. Now let's just do the same thing to the other side real quick. Put a star on here. Put this on. Grab another one of them and this. Okay. Now. And slide this on. Right there. That. Slide this through that. Then slide that on. And that'll get me a pretty good starting point for this. One of these. This doesn't have the rest. I think I got it wrong. I started on this one. Needs to be this one right here. I believe. There we go. Now. Should have a small wrench that'll fit it. It might be too small. It's always good to have a bunch of metric sets laying around, sockets, and sockets and wrenches. So, go ahead and tighten that up right there. That should hold that in place. Tighten this one up on this side right here. It should be the same size right there. So, slide this on here. We'll raise this up. And this one is not what I thought it was. Should be a 10. There's my 10. Might be a little bit. Oh, that was